At 7:11 local time on a sweltering June morning, the port of Houthi was violently reshaped. In the span of a single breath, the main cargo pier vanished, replaced by a geyser of shattered concrete and twisted steel. 2.5 seconds later, the port control building pancaked into its own foundation. There were no aircraft overhead, no sirens, only silent, sea-skimming destruction arriving at 280 meters per second. The attack originated from the INS Megan, a Sa'ar 6 class corvette slicing through the Red Sea at 18 knots. This $480 million vessel, a product of German engineering and Israeli innovation, is a masterpiece of naval stealth. Its angular hull and radar-absorbent coating scatter electromagnetic waves, making it appear on enemy screens as little more than a fishing trawler, but packed within its 90-meter frame is more firepower than many full-size destroyers. The crew's paramount concern wasn't enemy ships, but the swarms of cheap drones the Houthis routinely deploy. The Magan's answer is the EL/M2248MF radar. 4 fixed panels, each containing hundreds of transmit-receive modules, work in concert to update the tactical picture 30 times per second, capable of tracking 300 targets simultaneously. More than enough to manage the largest drone swarm imaginable. Yet on this day, the Houthis were looking the wrong way. Conditioned by months of Israeli airstrikes from high-altitude jets, their entire defense network was oriented upward. Their Soviet-era P-14 Tall King radars scanned the skies, and their SA-6 batteries pointed at steep angles, expecting threats from above. They were utterly unprepared for an attack that emerged from the surface of the sea. At 7:03, the fire order was relayed to the Megan's Combat Information Center. Real-time satellite and drone feeds provided exquisite thermal imagery of the target. Every heat signature glowed on the screens, generators, vehicles, and one particularly hot underground facility that was clearly not used for storing frozen fish. At 7:04, the first Gabriel 5 missile erupted from its launch cell. Its solid rocket booster propelled it to Mach 2.1 in just 3.4 seconds before separating. A small turbojet engine then engaged, throttling back to a fuel-efficient cruise speed. A second missile followed 1.8 seconds later, precisely timed to avoid flying through the first exhaust plume. Instead of climbing, the missiles did the unexpected. They descended to a breathtaking 3 meters above the waves. Flying so low they slipped beneath the radar horizon of any coastal defense system more than 40 kilometers away. Their path was a work of tactical deception, weaving between cargo ships, using islands as radar shields, and exploiting gaps in the Houthi radar coverage. Their navigation was triple redundant. GPS provided primary guidance. An inertial navigation system tracked every movement with microscopic gyroscopes, and a terrain contour matching radar altimeter constantly verified their position against stored maps. At 7:09, 22 kilometers from the target, the missile's turbojets spooled to maximum thrust for the final sprint. Their infrared seekers activated, scanning the world in heat signatures. AI-driven pattern recognition algorithms identified the target, the L-shaped pier and the command building with the suspiciously warm basement. 10 kilometers out, their active radar seekers, compact, electronically scanned K-band arrays, warmed up and locked on. The Houthis now had 41 seconds to react. Their defenses were tragically inadequate. 2 vintage ZSU anti-aircraft guns and a soldier with a Strela 2-man portable missile, a system designed to threaten helicopters in the 1960s, utterly useless against modern sea-skimming missiles. The first missile struck the pier at its critical load-bearing junction. The 200-kilogram warhead detonated, creating a pressure wave that traveled through the concrete at 6,900 meters per second, 20 times the speed of sound. The concrete vaporized. The rebar inside became hypersonic shrapnel. A 60-meter section of the pier ceased to exist. The second missile impacted the command building 2 seconds later. Its accelerometer counted the layers as it penetrated. 3 meters, 5 meters, 8 meters. At a depth of 10 meters, precisely at the level of the command bunker, its delayed fuse triggered. In the confined space, the blast wave reflected off the reinforced walls, creating intersecting overpressure waves that spiked to over 500 psi, enough to make steel flow like water and concrete dissolve into dust. The building above, its foundation gone, imploded into the cavern below. By 7:11:30, the port's strategic value had been erased, but the Houthi response was already preparing. That evening at 1951, deep inland, a massive transporter-erector launcher raised a Birkin 3 ballistic missile. This 12-meter, 7,000-kilogram weapon, a Soviet Scud fed Iranian steroids, could reach 1,200 kilometers, putting all of Israel within its range. The solid-fuel motor ignited, accelerating the missile off the launcher at 5 Gs. The launch crew didn't wait to watch. They scrambled to move the vehicle before the inevitable counterstrike. Orbiting high above, a U.S. Defense Support Program satellite detected the fiery plume instantly. Within 0.7 seconds, a warning was transmitted through secure channels to the Pentagon, then to Tel Aviv, and finally to the Kiryat Defense Complex. Total elapsed time, 2.1 seconds. 4 seconds after launch, Israel's Green Pine radar acquired the target. The massive L-band array, pumping out 2 megawatts of power, calculated the missile's trajectory. Apogee, 185 kilometers. Impact point, Tel Aviv. Time to impact, 7 minutes, 23 seconds. The threat was automatically assigned to an Arrow 3 battery. At 20:03, as the Birkin passed 42 kilometers in altitude, an Arrow 3 interceptor roared from its silo. Its 2-stage solid rocket motor propelled it at a crushing 8 Gs through the atmosphere, at speeds that turned the air to plasma. In the vacuum of space, the kill vehicle separated. Traveling at Mach 8.2, the 150-kilogram vehicle used tiny divert thrusters to make microscopic adjustments. Its infrared seeker found the Birkin's heat signature against the absolute cold of space. The closing velocity was 3,400 meters per second. At 20:05, 72 kilometers above the Mediterranean, the intercept occurred. The kill vehicle delivered 867 megajoules of kinetic energy directly into the warhead, the equivalent of 200 kilograms of TNT focused on a point the size of a fist. The Birkin disintegrated into a harmless cloud of debris, its remnants tracked until they splashed harmlessly into the sea, 37 kilometers offshore. The threat was neutralized. The silent surgical strike from the sea had been answered with a dazzling, high-tech defense in the void of space.